What if I told you that the greatest boxer of all time deliberately refused to end a fight he was dominating just to whisper 7 words that would save a man's life? This is not just another boxing story. This is about the moment when Muhammad Ali proved that true greatness isn't measured by how hard you can hit, but by knowing when not to. Louisville, Kentucky, 1974. The autumn air carried the smell of fried chicken from corner diners and the distant sound of train whistles cutting through the evening. Inside a cramped, dimly lit gym on the west side of town, where the paint peeled from the walls and the heavy bags hung like tired soldiers, a young man named Marcus Webb wrapped his hands with fraying cloth tape. His knuckles were already swollen from the morning session, but he couldn't afford to stop. Not now. Not when everything depended on the next 3 weeks. Marcus was 23 years old, with shoulders that carried more than just muscle. They carried the weight of a dying mother, medical bills stacked like a house of cards, and a younger sister who still believed her big brother could fix anything. He had been boxing since he was 14, fighting in basement clubs and county fairs for $50 a night, sometimes less. His record was unremarkable: 17 wins, 12 losses, 2 draws. Nobody knew his name. Nobody cared. Until 3 days ago, when his manager, an old cornerman named Eddie Rossi, burst through the door of Marcus's 1-bedroom apartment with news that seemed impossible. Eddie's hands shook as he held the telegram. His voice cracked when he read it aloud. Marcus Webb had been selected as a last-minute replacement opponent for an exhibition match against Muhammad Ali. The original fighter had torn his rotator cuff during training. They needed someone quickly, someone hungry, someone who wouldn't ask too many questions. The purse was $5,000. For Marcus, it might as well have been $5 million. That money could cover his mother's treatment for 6 months, maybe more. It could keep the lights on. It could buy his sister new shoes for school. It could buy time. But there was a problem. Everyone knew what happened to unknown fighters who stepped into the ring with Ali. They became footnotes, cautionary tales, names forgotten before the bruises healed. Ali was not just a champion, he was a force of nature, a poet with fists, a man who had defeated Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier and George Foreman. He moved like water and struck like lightning. And Marcus? Marcus was just a kid from Louisville trying not to drown. The gym smelled like sweat, leather, and broken dreams. Marcus hit the speed bag with a rhythm that sounded like a heartbeat, fast and desperate. Eddie watched from the corner, chewing on an unlit cigar, his weathered face creased with worry. He had seen this before. Young fighters with everything to lose, stepping into situations that could destroy them. But he also saw something else in Marcus, something he couldn't quite name. It wasn't skill or power. It was necessity. And necessity made men dangerous. Hey, don't scroll past this moment. If this story is already pulling you in, do me a huge favor right now. Hit that subscribe button, even if you're watching from your TV or computer. It helps more than you know. Drop a comment, any emoji, anything to let me know you're here. And here's the big one, click that hype button. Seriously, that hype button tells the algorithm to push this story to more people who need to hear it. Your click literally helps us grow. Let's build this together. The days before the fight blurred together. Marcus trained like a man possessed, running through the streets before dawn, his breath forming clouds in the cold air, his legs burning with every stride. He studied footage of Ali's fights until his eyes ached, watching the way the champion moved, the way he set traps, the way he made opponents feel fast until they realized they were always 3 steps behind. Eddie tried to prepare him, not for victory, but for survival. Keep your hands up. Don't chase him. Protect your body. Last as long as you can. Make it respectable. But Marcus wasn't thinking about respect. He was thinking about his mother, Diane, lying in a hospital bed across town, her skin pale as paper, her voice barely a whisper. She had worked 2 jobs her entire life, cleaning offices at night and serving lunch at a diner during the day, just to keep Marcus and his sister fed. She never complained. She never asked for anything. And now her body was failing, her lungs filling with fluid, her heart struggling with every beat. The doctors said she needed treatment they couldn't afford. They said she had maybe 4 months without it. Marcus couldn't let that happen. He wouldn't. The night before the fight, Marcus sat alone in his apartment. The walls were thin enough to hear the neighbors arguing, the baby crying 2 doors down, the distant wail of sirens. He looked at a photograph on the small table beside his bed. It showed him, at 8 years old, standing next to his father, both of them smiling, both of them wearing boxing gloves that were too big. His father had been a fighter too, a good one, until a bad decision and worse luck left him with permanent damage. He died when Marcus was 12. His last words to his son were simple: take care of them. And Marcus had tried. God, he had tried. The venue was a mid-sized arena on the outskirts of Louisville, the kind of place that hosted everything from wrestling matches to gospel concerts. On fight night, it was packed. 3,000 people filled the seats, their voices creating a wall of sound that vibrated through the concrete floors. They hadn't come to see Marcus Webb. They had come to see Muhammad Ali, the greatest, the people's champion, the man who floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee. Marcus was just the opponent, the body Ali would dance around before the real fights began. In the locker room, Marcus sat on a wooden bench, his hands already wrapped, his heart pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. Eddie paced back and forth, muttering strategies that both of them knew wouldn't matter. A doctor checked Marcus's blood pressure, his reflexes, shining a light in his eyes. Everything was normal. Everything except the fear, not fear of pain. Marcus had been hit before. He knew what it felt like to taste blood, to feel your legs go soft, to hear the crowd roar as you tried to stay standing. No, this was different. This was the fear of failing everyone who depended on him. Then the door opened, and Muhammad Ali walked in. Not into Marcus's locker room. That would come later, but Marcus could hear him in the hallway, his voice carrying like music, laughing with reporters, reciting poems, predicting the round he would win. Ali's confidence wasn't arrogance. It was certainty. He had fought the best and beaten them all. What was one more unknown kid from Kentucky? The walk to the ring felt like walking to an execution. The crowd roared when Ali's name was announced, a sound so loud it seemed to shake the building. When Marcus's name was called, there was polite applause, the kind you give someone out of pity. He climbed through the ropes, his legs heavy, his mouth dry. Across the ring, Ali bounced on his toes, loose and relaxed, his eyes scanning the crowd, soaking in the love. He looked like he was born to be there. Marcus felt like an intruder. The referee called them to the center. Ali towered over Marcus, not in height, but in presence. His eyes met Marcus's, and for a moment something passed between them. Recognition, maybe, or curiosity. Ali had seen 1,000 fighters, but something about this kid, this nobody from his own hometown, made him pause. The referee gave instructions. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands. Touch gloves. They did. Ali's glove felt like stone. The bell rang. Ali moved first, gliding across the canvas, like he was skating on ice, his feet barely touching the ground. Marcus raised his guard, trying to remember everything Eddie had taught him, but his mind was racing too fast. Ali circled left, then right, his jab flicking out like a snake's tongue, testing distance, testing reflexes. The first one grazed Marcus's forehead, the second snapped his head back. The crowd cheered. This was what they came for. Marcus tried to counter, throwing a right hand that hit nothing but air. Ali was already gone, dancing away, his hands down by his waist, taunting, inviting. "Come on, kid, show me what you got." Marcus pressed forward, throwing combinations that felt strong in the gym but looked slow and desperate under the lights. Ali slipped every punch, his head moving in small, economical circles, making Marcus miss by inches. Then Ali struck back, a sharp left hook to the ribs that drove the air from Marcus's lungs. Pain exploded through his side, his knees buckled slightly. The crowd roared louder. By the end of the first round, Marcus's face was already swelling. A cut had opened above his right eye, blood trickling down his cheek. Eddie worked frantically in the corner, pressing cold metal against the wound, shouting instructions that Marcus could barely hear over the ringing in his ears. "You're doing fine, kid. Just survive. Stay smart." But Marcus wasn't thinking about survival anymore. He was thinking about his mother, about the hospital bills, about his sister's face when he told her everything would be okay. He had to last. He had to make this mean something. The second round was worse. Lee turned up the pressure, his punches coming faster, harder, each one landing with surgical precision. A jab split Marcus's lip. An uppercut rattled his jaw. A body shot folded him at the waist. The referee watched closely, ready to stop it if Marcus went down. But Marcus didn't go down. He couldn't. Every time Ali hit him, Marcus thought about his father's last words. Take care of them. Every time his legs wobbled, he thought about his mother's smile. Every time he wanted to quit, he thought about his sister, believing he was strong enough to fix anything. And then something strange happened. Ali stopped trying to knock him out. It was subtle at first. Ali still threw punches, still dominated every exchange, but there was a shift in his approach. Instead of going for the finish, he started moving Marcus around the ring, controlling distance, landing enough to win rounds, but not enough to end it. Between rounds, Ali's corner was confused. His trainer, Angelo Dundee, leaned in close. "You got him hurt, champ. Finish it." But Ali just shook his head, his eyes fixed on Marcus across the ring. Not yet. In the fourth round, during a clinch, Ali held Marcus close, their bodies pressed together, both men breathing hard. The referee moved in to break them apart, but before he did, Ali leaned in, his mouth close to Marcus's ear. His voice was quiet, meant only for Marcus. "I know why you're here, kid. I know about your mama." Marcus's blood went cold. How could Ali possibly know? Ali continued, his words coming fast. "You got heart, real heart, but you ain't gonna beat me. So let's make this count. You hear me? Let's give them a show." Marcus pulled back, confusion and exhaustion clouding his thoughts. What was Ali saying? Was this a trick? But when he looked into Ali's eyes, he didn't see mockery. He saw something else. Understanding. Respect. The referee separated them, and the fight continued. But now Marcus fought differently. He wasn't just trying to survive, he was trying to prove something, and Ali, the greatest fighter in the world, was letting him. The rounds continued. 5, 6, 7. Marcus landed punches he had no business landing. Ali's defense, usually impenetrable, seemed to have small gaps, just enough for Marcus to slip through a jab, connect with a hook. The crowd, which had expected a slaughter, began to buzz with surprise. Who was this kid? How was he still standing? Marcus's face was a mess, blood and sweat mixing, his body screaming for rest, but he kept coming forward. And Ali kept letting him. In the 8th round, Ali increased the pace again, reminding everyone why he was the champion. He landed a combination that would have dropped most fighters, but Marcus absorbed it, fired back with a wild overhand right that actually connected with Ali's chin. The crowd exploded. Ali smiled, nodded as if to say, "That's it, kid. That's what I wanted to see." They exchanged punches in the center of the ring, a moment of pure combat, two warriors respecting each other's courage. By the 10th round, Marcus could barely see out of his right eye. His ribs felt like they were cracked. Every breath was agony. Eddie begged him to quit between rounds, told him he had nothing left to prove, but Marcus refused. $5,000, his mother's treatment, his sister's future. He had come too far to stop now. The bell rang for the 10th, and Marcus dragged himself off the stool one more time. Ali met him in the center of the ring. The crowd was on their feet now, not because they expected a knockout, but because they were witnessing something rare. Courage, real, undeniable courage. Ali threw a lazy jab, and Marcus slipped it, countered with a body shot that made Ali grunt. For a split second, Marcus thought maybe, just maybe, he could pull off a miracle. But then Ali's eyes hardened, and Marcus knew the truth. Ali had been in control the entire time. The final minute of the 10th round, Ali backed Marcus into the corner. The crowd held its breath. This was it, the finish. Ali loaded up a right hand, the kind that had ended careers, and threw it with everything he had. But at the last second, the punch sailed high, grazing the top of Marcus's head instead of landing clean. Marcus stumbled, but didn't fall. Ali grabbed him in a clinch again, holding him up, and the referee moved in. That's when Ali whispered the words that changed everything. His voice was firm, clear, cutting through the noise and the pain. "Listen to me, Marcus. You got more heart than half the champions I fought. After this fight, you come find me. I'm going to make sure your mama gets what she needs. You hear me? All of it. But you got to promise me something. You got to keep fighting, not in the ring. In life. You gotta take care of your people. That's what makes a real champion." Marcus's legs almost gave out, not from a punch, but from the weight of those words. Tears mixed with the blood on his face. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. The referee separated them, and the bell rang, ending the round. The fight was over. Ali won by unanimous decision, as everyone knew he would. But as the referee raised Ali's hand, the champion pulled away, walked across the ring, and raised Marcus's hand too. The crowd erupted in applause, not for the victory, but for the respect. In the locker room afterward, Marcus sat alone, his body broken, but his spirit somehow intact. Eddie had gone to get ice, leaving Marcus with his thoughts. Then the door opened, and Muhammad Ali walked in, still in his robe, his face barely marked. He sat down next to Marcus, pulled out a folded check from his pocket, and placed it in Marcus's trembling hands. $20,000. 4 times what Marcus was supposed to earn. Marcus stared at the check, unable to process what he was seeing. Ali put a hand on his shoulder. "Your mama's gonna be fine, kid. I already made some calls. Best doctors in Louisville are gonna take care of her. No charge. You just focus on being the man she raised you to be." Marcus broke down, tears streaming freely now, his body shaking with sobs. Ali stayed there, silent, letting the young fighter release everything he had been holding inside. 3 months later, Diane Webb walked out of the hospital, her treatment successful, her prognosis good. Marcus never fought professionally again. He didn't need to. With Ali's help, he opened a small gym in Louisville, training kids from the neighborhood, teaching them that strength wasn't just about how hard you could hit, but about how much you could endure and still choose kindness. Above the gym's entrance, he hung a sign with 7 words. The same 7 words Ali had whispered to him that night. "Keep fighting. Take care of your people." Years later, when reporters asked Ali about that fight, about why he didn't knock out Marcus Webb when he clearly could have, Ali smiled that famous smile and said something that became legend. "Any fool can knock a man down. It takes a champion to lift him up." Marcus Webb had heart, and heart is what separates fighters from warriors. Muhammad Ali passed away in 2016, but his legacy lived on in 1,000 different ways, in the boxers he inspired, the causes he championed, the barriers he broke. But perhaps nowhere was his impact more profound than in a small gym in Louisville, where a man named Marcus Webb taught young fighters that the greatest victory isn't winning a fight. It's knowing when to help someone else win theirs. The check Ali gave Marcus that night was never cashed. Marcus framed it, hung it on the wall of his gym, a reminder that greatness isn't measured in titles or trophies. It's measured in the lives you touch, the people you lift up, the moments when you choose compassion over conquest. Muhammad Ali refused to end that fight quickly because he saw something in Marcus Webb that the world couldn't see. He saw a man fighting for something bigger than himself, and in that moment, Ali decided that his role wasn't to destroy that man. It was to save him. Hey, my friends, help me by subscribing to the channel so we can reach 1,000 subscribers, even if you're watching from your TV or computer. Your subscription makes all the difference, and the algorithm will help you see more amazing stories. Leave a like or an emoji in the comments and be part of this growth.